Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is hashtag No Limits. I am your host, Shelly Kino. Hashtag No Limits is about people who society has placed limits upon, but who are busting through those limits. Ophelia says in Hamlet, we know who we are, but not who we will be. And I believe that to be 100% true, and that there is not a better or more beautiful example than the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. I'm going to give you a super simplified science lesson. The caterpillar literally dissolves into its cells and then reforms into the butterfly. But it's not finished struggling at that point. When it forms as the butterfly in the cocoon, it still has to struggle in order to be strong enough for its wings to take it everywhere it's going to go. None of that can be easy. But I don't believe busting through societal limits is easy either. And I can't wait to share my guest today and all the limits that she and her foundation are helping people bust through. It is a very heartwarming and inspirational story, and I'm really excited to bring her on. However, I have to do all of my business things first. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you get the notification of every single time I go live. And if you're watching in the live, give us a hashtag live and where you're watching from. If you're watching in the replay, give us a hashtag replay and where you're watching from. And I am getting a message that Facebook is not working. So I'm going to bring Dawn on, and then I'm going to try to fix that because I know that there were several people who were going to be wanting to watch us on Facebook Live. So I'm going to work on that and bring Dawn on right now. Dawn, welcome. Thank you so much, first and foremost, for all that you do, but for being my guest today specifically. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, in full disclosure to our audience today, I want to also say that not only are you my guest today, but we have recently become colleagues as I have accepted the chairperson position for the Made for Freedom Foundation board, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to dive in and get involved more and do more things. So,
Okay, so
I'm going
can
to
I
ask
ask a
you.
question?
Yes.
Am I like totally out of sync to raise the roof? It shows my age, right?
You what you
I'm
want.
like, I can celebrate and not say anything.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Nonverbal communication, man. It's awesome. Yeah. So I am going to have you start talking about the foundation, and I'm going to hop off the screen and see if I can figure out what's going on if we are or are not live on Facebook right now. So, what
Sounds
is
good.
the Made for Freedom Foundation, Dawn?
Well, I'm going to go back several years.
Okay.
While I was in college, actually, I I felt like God was calling me to go to China. Much to my mother's dismay, I did. And after I graduated from college, I thought I was going to call to China for a year. It ended up being 10 years. But during that time, I experienced some things that, I mean, living in such a completely different culture, obviously you experience things that are nothing like what you grew up with. But there were things that I still talk about today because as I talk about human trafficking and exploitation, it takes me back to children that I saw that had been sold, basically sold, not knowingly,
Oh my gosh.
but through deception, have been sold to bosses who said, oh, I can take your children to the big city and they can make some good money, to an incredibly poor family. So when I talk about extreme poverty, I have seen children taken out of that vulnerable situation and exploited. And when I talk about devaluation of the girl child, which is a major vulnerability that makes someone vulnerable to exploitation, I remember my first year living in China and a friend coming and saying, we're going to go visit the orphanage in town. We're going to go love on those babies because that's what they need. And I said, okay. And I was heartbroken when I saw that the orphanage was pretty much just full of little girls because the culture did not value the girls. So I've been learning about the vulnerabilities and what exactly procurers do and the situations that make people vulnerable and the people who take advantage of that for years. And eventually, God dropped a business idea in my lap and I started running with it. And at the very beginning, it was this concept of what if these crazy pants from Thailand could be a business or an organization that could help survivors of sex trafficking. And that was the idea. I had these crazy pants. Ladies were commenting on them all over the place. And I talked to someone in the fashion industry and I said, "What do you think?" And he said, "I think it's a good idea. I think it could work." And his advice was be a for profit. And I talked to other people and they said, be a nonprofit. And other people said, be a for profit, nonprofit, for profit, nonprofit. And I was so confused. And I was like, I have 2 degrees in education and 1 in theology. I don't know. So the funny thing is, I was seeking advice from a professor at Washington University in St. Louis. And he desperately wanted me to be a nonprofit. So he was like, come on in, we'll just take care of it. Submitted all the paperwork. And when I finally decided to make Made for Freedom a for-profit, I went in to start a bank account and they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, you can't do that. That name is taken." And so there was confusion at the very beginning, even at the bank level. But started Made for Freedom, the social enterprise, all around providing employment for survivors. And when the concept came to me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this because I have to do something. I know what's happening in our world with human trafficking. I have seen this and I keep hearing about it. I saw a video from IJM about a guy, an undercover reporter in Cambodia that went into the back streets of Cambodia asking for the youngest girls he could find. And my heart broke. Like it just ripped me up inside. And at that moment, I realized, oh, this isn't just those kids that I met in China. This is happening all over the world, and this is the most horrible thing I can think of. And it weighed on me until I figured out what I could do. So I started moving forward with that, and I thought, I've got to learn more about this. If I'm really going to move into this, I started moving.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm still trying to figure out why this is not airing on Facebook right now. Sorry, it is not.
Oh, you're fine. That's okay.
I'm still trying to figure out why. Go ahead.
Okay. So as I was trying to figure this out, kind of a funny story. I heard about a group of ladies going to India on a research trip to learn about human trafficking. I called my husband and I was like, they haven't invited me. Why haven't they invited me? I need to be on that trip. And then he asked a very simple question. He was like, Dawn, do they know who you are? I said, no, but I should be on that trip. And lo and behold, somebody that I knew contacted that lady and she contacted me and she said, our team is full, but you need to be on this trip. And so they made space for me and I was able to go with this research trip to India. And while I was there, we went to so many centers. We went to all of these restoration centers that were doing outreach into red light districts, that were serving as safe houses. They were rescuing girls, providing legal services, counseling services, and many of them were providing jobs, and the ladies were making things. And so we were talking to all of these owners and all of these founders, and it ended up at one of the centers, the founder was talking to us about, they have these great jobs. They're learning how to read and write. They're being provided with health care. They're being provided with childcare. And it's really hard for them to move on and find a job after they come in here, start the healing process, and have made progress. And I remember in my mind thinking, that's great on one hand, but on the other hand, that's really a problem because if they never leave, there's not space for new ladies.
Right.
And years later, Made for Freedom got going and was providing employment, but then the foundation is now in a place where we are raising funds to provide educational scholarships for the artisans in our partner centers. So the education piece that can come after that employment piece is actually happening. And it wasn't really the plan, but I realized, oh, wow, the foundation is actually stepping in and helping provide that next step for survivors. That was a
Well,
very long answer for that question, but
that was perfect. And you said you're a theology major, 2 degrees, two in education, one in theology. And so even though it wasn't your plan
oh no.
for the foundation, it was God's plan for the foundation to come in and help support Made for Freedom. And I posted on LinkedIn recently after becoming the chairperson how I started to learn about trafficking in persons back in like 2013, 2014, maybe a little bit around that time zone. And I was just heartbroken to know that slavery, really, I mean, that's what we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
is still happening, not just in the United States, not just in China or India, but everywhere.
Right.
And it doesn't look the way that we learned about it in a textbook, the slavery that we learned about, because it's not exactly that, but it is still utilizing humans to do things for not enough pay or no pay,
Mm-hmm.
and abusing them basically, sometimes physically, emotionally, but definitely financially. And then when I realized in looking at statistics that my students as a special education teacher
Mm-hmm.
were boys are 7 times and girls are 12 times more likely in the world of special education to be trafficked, to
Wow.
be molested, abused, neglected. That did not set well with me. And I had to do something. And so, I did the, okay, well, what's going on in the world? Who can I follow? Who can I find? And at that time, Tim Tebow was kind of, a big name at that point. And then as I continued to follow it, Ashton Kutcher became someone who got very involved. And then the movie The Sound of Freedom came out.
Right.
And then I was at this conference in Northern Illinois, and I'm selling my book and letting people know about the services that I offer. And during a break, I'm walking around chatting with the other vendors, and there's this beautiful woman with all these beautiful wares that she is selling. And I asked her what it was about. And then I bought these beautiful earrings, which I know it's really hard to see them, but they say restore dignity. And to me, that really exemplified what you explained to me about Made for Freedom. Now, you didn't have the foundation at that time, to my knowledge, at least.
Right.
So I've, tried to continue to go to that website and purchase things and donate when I can. But it's just, again, it's God's plan, because you and I are both from around the St. Louis, Missouri area, but we met near Chicago, Illinois.
Right. Right.
We are both also part of the Rooted Sisters organization, which is a Christian businesswomen's organization, and we still didn't know each other. And I mean,
We made the connection in Chicago. Oh, you're a rooted sister? Oh, we're not at the breakfast because we're here.
right, exactly. Yeah. And I was like, oh, you should be a Rooted Sister. You're like, I already am. I'm like, oh, well.
I saw the selfie that we posted. Like
Oh,
it
yeah.
came up about that time, and I was like, "Oh, there it is."
Oh, that's funny. That is so awesome. And so, yeah, when you recently asked me to be a board member, and then, said, would you take on the chairperson's role? um, jumping immediately into the board position, not no brainer. Jumping into the chairperson role, that's a little bit more significant. So that took a little bit of time, but I'm so excited that God gave you this vision and this idea, and that you followed him and continue to lean on him for your guidance and your wisdom, because I don't think still to this day people understand what it is, how prevalent it is, how they can help. Because I think a lot of people, which I was this way at the beginning too, was, well, I can't go rescue them, so there's nothing I can do. So I'm so thankful to you that you've put this together. So do you have any numbers of like how many people have been helped already, and maybe like who's being helped, not who, but how many are being helped right now?
Well, I will throw some numbers because you were talking about like how big it is right now. If
Mhm.
you don't mind, I will go back there because there's a little bit of not discrepancy, but it might get a little confusing if you go and just do a search for how many people are being trafficked. When I started this, which was about 2014, so I think it really started to come into the public eye around 2014 because there are a lot of people, 2013, 2014, that started getting on board and going, okay, we've got to do something about this. But about that time, they were saying around 27 million, which even that is more than all of the slaves during the transatlantic slavery period. Okay, so even that number was greater. So yes, it is slavery. It's modern day slavery. And we think of that slavery. In 2014, it was a greater number than the entirety of the transatlantic slave trade. And now, if you look at the numbers, you'll see a number like, and here's the reality. Nobody really knows, right? This is a very hidden, very behind the scenes crime. And is it happening? Yes. Do we know it's happening? Yes. Do we know exactly how many? No. But if you look at numbers, you might see 49 million. And at a certain point, I was just double checking some numbers, and it went from like 27, 29, 30 to almost 50. And I'm like, okay, hang on a second. What?
Yeah.
This didn't happen in 2 years. Well, the difference between those two numbers is when I started this, and that 27 to 30 million people number is under the umbrella human trafficking, labor trafficking, sex trafficking, organ trafficking. And organ trafficking is pretty small. The labor trafficking is the largest, and then sex trafficking. And oftentimes we just think sex trafficking, but we have to remember that labor trafficking is a huge piece of this. So under human trafficking were those three things. At a certain point, everybody started to understand there are a lot of young women that, because of poverty, because of devaluation of the girl child, because of vulnerable situations, or just greed, they are being sold into marriage. So that forced marriage got lumped in under human trafficking. So human trafficking now incorporates that, which bumped it up 20 million. So that number now is, you'll see numbers between 47 to 50 million people. So sorry, that's just a little education piece there.
Yeah, no, having the numbers is important. And that 47, 48 million is the number that I have told people for a couple of years now is,
Right.
that's what's happening. And that's not right. We should, I mean,
Right.
we
Right.
thought we abolished slavery a
Right.
couple of years ago.
And we have jewelry, and the stories behind some of our pieces are behind young ladies who were sold into marriage. and treated like slaves. I mean, most of the time, I won't say most of the time, I don't know how often, but it's not a good situation when you get sold into marriage. Like, that's just
Right.
not going to be a good situation. So, with our other numbers, like what we have been working towards, um, it's hard to it's hard to count the number of people. It's not hard to count the number of people, but because Made for Freedom, we don't have one center or two centers. A lot of groups, they are running and they are in charge of one or two restoration centers and workshops. We Instead of that, we decided to come alongside the groups that are already doing that, because as I had a conversation with one of the groups in India, a really well-established um, safe house and workshop, he said, we desperately need people to come alongside and help get our products to a larger audience. And
Gotcha.
while I was on that research trip, I was about 6 months into marriage. And
Oh my gosh.
so I would have my natural inclination would have been, oh my gosh, there are huge things that need to be done here. I'm just going to stay in India. I'm going to move into a red light district and I'm going to do what I can do, because that's what I do. I was like, oh, there's this really sweet man in St. Louis and he's waiting for me to come back. So I guess I got to figure out how I can help while being in St. Louis. So I came back to St. Louis, and so we partner with about 20 centers around the world. And if there is a group that is providing dignified employment, and when I say dignified employment, it's I am very specific. It's when I started this, people were like, "Oh, just say fair wage." And I'm like, "No, that is just an amount of money." And I
Right.
tell you, traffickers make really good money. So I'm not going to just talk about fair wage or living wage, because that's an amount of money. I'm going to talk about a job that's dignified, where you're making a fair wage, but you also are surrounded by caring people and you're being provided with life skills and education. So, dignified employment, we track the number of hours, because some of the partners that we have are teeny tiny and we are their largest customer. And some of the groups that we partner with are pretty significant and well established, and we are a teeny tiny customer. So, I can't count all of the hours that they do and all
Sure.
those people. So, we count hours. So, we're at about 45,000 hours of employment. So I figure every piece we buy, and that's how I explain it to people, the more we sell, the more jobs they create. Because if we sell it, we're going to order again and they create more jobs. So that's our whole job, is to find good quality products made by survivors of trafficking or those who are vulnerable. Because if you provide a job for someone who's vulnerable, that can help prevent exploitation. So,
Right.
marginalized or survivors products, we sell it. And those artisans working at those centers are the people who are eligible to receive scholarships. So as Made for Freedom Foundation grows, and with every purchase, so there are a couple different ways we fund those scholarships. Every time we are selling product, whether it's in person, if I'm talking to a group of people, if you buy online, you have an opportunity to not only provide employment through the purchase of that, you also have an opportunity to donate. You add on. You can add on 1, 3, 5, 500. You can add on 3,000 if you'd like. But you have that opportunity to add on. One is for employment, one is for education, and everything that we do, advocacy is baked in to every time we talk about Made for Freedom, every time we talk about the foundation. So everything is about employment, education, advocacy, and growing that is going to help us provide scholarships, and in addition to employment over here. And we are constantly just talking about it. So we're advocating all over.
Well, on that note, I'm going to bring up the website, and actually, I'm going to take us out of the picture so that people can actually see the full website. And I'm also going to take the banner off. So people may have noticed already that you and I are both wearing blue today.
Huh,
Uh,
why is that?
yeah, no, I want you to tell them, why is that?
So blue is the color that is used pretty much universally to represent to represent the fight against human trafficking. In January, there is a very specific day that has been tagged Wear Blue Day, and that's January 11. So the entire month of January is human trafficking. It's National Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month. And I figure, here's my thought, we can do better than one day. And so we have really tried to create an assortment of items that are blue so that people can wear blue. We are challenging people to wear blue the entire month of January. But we also have a significant day coming up in 2 days. And that is another reason to wear blue, and that is the World Day against trafficking in persons. I always have to pause a little bit to say that. The World Day against trafficking in persons. And so that's more of a global awareness day where people are going to be talking about raising awareness and doing what they can to fight human trafficking.
That is awesome. And I'm going to pull up right now. The foundation is doing a campaign, and I will let you talk about that. It's called the Wear One, Share One. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to make this bracelet bigger, but I think it was, is it this bracelet here, the bamboo ones that are the Wear One, Share Ones?
Yeah, it's the, if you want to, I have one if you'd like to see it close. Oh, there you go. It's the Eat Sleep. Eat Sleep
Okay.
is what it's called. And it's on these are bamboo bracelets. The cord is cotton. These are made at the center that I was talking about. The founder told me they desperately needed help. They also make our t-shirts, but the Eat, Sleep, Fight Human Trafficking, Repeat. I just love that phrase. And I was like, let's put fight human trafficking in there. Come on. And,
Yeah.
Because if today and what we keep talking about is slavery, and this is modern day slavery, and what we need is modern day abolitionists. We need people who have this front of mind. We need people who are taking a stand, making it known, raising awareness, and doing what they can, whether that's going on a raid, which I will just say I don't encourage that unless you've been trained. So
Right.
do what you can. And it has shown that employment and education are hugely impactful in preventing exploitation as well as providing restoration. So those are some things that are very easy to do. And this bracelet is made by women coming out of a red light district called Sonagachi. It is one red light district in Kolkata or Calcutta that that particular red light district has over 11,000 women being prostituted out.
Wow.
And they make some of the amazing things, and they are learning to read and write. They're learning how to sew and make different items like these bamboo bracelets. And once they come in and they have gotten to a more stable place in their healing, they become the outreach, and they go back into the red light districts, and they talk to the women that they know or that they knew, and they help them understand that there is more to life and that they are valuable and that they can do something different.
Right. Wow. That's incredible. And so going back to the Wear One, Share One campaign, so at the ally partner and also at the advocate partner levels, they will get this bracelet here, the Eat, Sleep, Fight Human Trafficking, Repeat, correct?
Do they get one?
They get two.
Why?
Because we're going to wear one and then we're going to give the other one away to have another person be able to talk about human trafficking. And
you're going to advocate. Yeah. So I love this, because that donation, what's embedded in that donation. These are providing employment. This is the gift you get. But with that donation, that's providing scholarships. The bracelet's providing employment. And we are giving you an extra one to share so you become the advocate.
Yes. And then if they donate at the $1,000 level, they get 2 upgraded awareness bracelets. And I'm trying to pull that one up. Okay.
Is there any way to zoom in on that? That metal bar is really cool. It's hot. When you see it in person, it's easier to tell. That is
but it doesn't seem like it's getting much bigger on the screen.
Okay. That's a sound wave. And we call this our L-Tod. And well, it is a shade of blue. It's got a little green in it, but we're going to call it blue. But that is a sound wave of someone saying, light triumphs over darkness.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
So yeah, that's an adjustable bracelet as well. These are made by survivors of sex trafficking in Myanmar. And that is a little group that makes some really powerful statement pieces. And like I said, the bamboo bracelets are made by survivors of trafficking in Calcutta, India.
And so, a lot of people that watch this, Dawn, they don't have $250, let alone $1,000, but they want to be able to help. So what are some other ways that people could help if they can't do the wear one, share one levels?
Well, there's always the opportunity to donate at a certain, whatever level. You can donate $5 if you want. If you want to purchase at a certain level and donate, let's say you have $50 and you're like, but I'd really like a bracelet. So you buy a bamboo bracelet and you donate the rest to the foundation. There are a lot of other things you can do though. When we talk about advocacy, if you have a network and you have a decent online following, you can follow all the Made for Freedom and all the Made for Freedom Foundation, and you can share those things. And that helps get the word out. Anything that helps more people know what's happening, understand how employment, education, and advocacy help fight human trafficking, that's going to be incredibly helpful. I have to tell you, I was really hoping that I would have something ready for today. By the time this gets published, maybe it'll be ready and we'll have it in the show notes. Okay. So let's look in the show notes and we're going to try and have this ready. But I have a survey that we are going to put in under kind of dignity collaborative. And, as you were talking about your restored dignity earrings, I was like, we might need to just get those again. We might have to have a custom order because we're talking a lot about dignity because it's kind of hard as I'm talking to people and I say, you want to fight human trafficking? You can do something right now. And then people are going to say, what? I'm going to say, okay, Made for Freedom Foundation. You can listen to our podcast, which is Impact Conversations, or you can attend this event that's a dignity invitational, or the Brave and Bodacious in Blue. That's a lot. So yeah. I'm going to try and just point people to one place and go, Dignity Collaborative. And the first thing you're going to see there is a survey. And it's basically going to say, where are you in life? Like, why are you here? Are you a survivor? Do you know a survivor? Are you passionate about fighting? Like, there's a reason you're here looking at this page. Where are you coming from? And then it's going to say, do you want to help with employment? Do you want to help with education? Do you want to help with advocacy? You can help with employment and you can impact right now, or you can go a little bit deeper and you can make a larger impact. Maybe your company wants to do a bulk order. So that's even more significant as far as providing employment. It takes a little longer. It's not a right now. It takes a little time. With education, same thing. You want to donate right now, you can do that, or start your own campaign and bring your people in to donate for scholarships. And that's a little longer. Like, there are so many levels there. You want to learn more? We have a video called 5 Key Components of Exploitation. You can learn like the essential like trafficking 101 and say, okay, I understand now the pieces and how they fit together. I can advocate better. So this survey, you're going to answer maybe 3 questions, and then it's going to run you through all of this really cool stuff. That's what we're hoping we build, and it's going to be ready by the time this gets posted.
Okay, well, you know this is going out live right now, but
I know. So keep Dignity Collaborative in your mind and watch our socials.
And I do want to, because you mentioned about bulk purchasing, so I'm going to bring the website back up again, because on the madeforfreedom.com website, and I'm going to put that website back up here too, I think. There we go. So you just go to the shop button up at the top, and then it pulls down all the different categories. And where I'm at right now is under the far right side under gifting, where it says impact gifting, bulk orders, and impact bundles. And so I am on the impact bundles. So I don't know if you want to talk about these a little bit to give some bigger businesses maybe an idea of what these are like, or I know you talked about some seasonal items too. There's so much that I want to share today. And I'm like, okay, we only have so much time. I have to,
right,
narrow down what to talk about.
So that you gave very good directions to that. And that is kind of a bulk of employment, education, and advocacy. All in, those are like just 3 lump sums, and a certain percentage goes to each. So that's a perfect place to go for that. And with those, you get provided that training, the 5 key components of exploitation. One that I'm not exactly sure how to get there. So if you can put me back on.
Okay.
I did come prepared with this. Okay. So this is an example. You won't find this on the website. Here is this nice little hang tag, but then here is this ornament. So these were made, this is a Christmas ornament. We did 2,200 of these. So I worked with an organization, and she said, I need to get gifts for our donors. And I love your story. I love the fact that that Made for Freedom is providing dignified employment for survivors. I love that story. I love the impact that it's making in people's lives. What can we do? So we worked on this design, and we got 2,200 of these, and she was able to give these to her donors with some information on the card. So and we're working on another one for this year. And then we have another order from, like, they're doing 3 ornaments back to back of felted wool made by survivors of human trafficking in Nepal. So this is an example of one of the bulk orders we could do for clients or customers. We had another group that wanted to do, another group that wanted to do a bulk order because they work with marginalized indigenous people. And she said, you know what? I want something that I can just give them and let them know that they are loved. And so we did another bamboo bracelet for them. This one actually says brave, but I showed you, you saw the bamboo bracelets. And this one, the nice thing is we're talking to some groups, so you can print on both sides. So on this side, it says brave and hashtag wear blue for freedom. Blue, we were talking about that. But then it also has our website. But I'm talking to some organizations that do outreach for red light districts and for women that are working in the life. And I'm talking to them about, let's do an inspirational saying on the outside that looks nice for them to wear. And on the inside, where no one's going to see it, you can have your phone number. So if they are ever in trouble, if they ever need you, that could be in here. And the other group ordered 500 of these just to hand out to people to say, you know what, you are cared for and you are valuable. So
wow.
And we can do custom designs on the bamboo as well. And so we can, because we partner with so many different centers and so many different types of groups, there are a lot of different gift type things we can do. and make those customizable.
So a lot of the, in fact, all, I think, of the places that you said that these organizations are making these things and that Made for Freedom Foundation is supporting are overseas. Are there any?
No,
I don't.
No, we work with groups in the States as well.
Okay, because I just didn't, it didn't register in my brain if you said this group is in the States, because I've heard, you know, India and Nepal and so, you know, Calcutta and
Right.
I'm not hearing any cities in the States. So
How about St. Louis?
there we go.
You got that one? You recognize that one?
Yeah.
So St. Louis, Kentucky, there's a new group that, and every time I go to events or conferences, they're like, oh, do you know this group? And I have a couple groups that I'm looking up, but there's a group in Michigan. There was a group in Chicago that we partnered with for a while. You know, unfortunately, a lot of these groups are smaller businesses, and there were many that did not make it through COVID. So
Yeah.
we had partners that the organization did not survive through that whole experience. And so and then there are different things that happen, like that's why I say about 20, because
Right.
we still have products from some groups, and we're probably not going to be getting from them again, or they don't make that item again, all sorts of things.
Right. So a lot of the products, like, again, going back to my earrings, like I don't see those anymore. So many of them are kind of, I don't want to say one of a kind, because I know you had more than my pair that you were selling that day,
Right.
but they're maybe limited quality or
Quantity.
quantity.
Yeah. And and the thing is, they are very unique. It's so many people come back to me and say, okay, I bought this necklace and I love it. And the next day somebody said, oh, I love your necklace. And they get all excited and they're like, and then I got to tell them, let me tell you about my necklace. Let me tell you about my earrings. And then they're like, these are made by Survive. So our customers not only are providing employment, and if they donate a little bit at the end to education, they walk out the door. And I'm now calling our products advocacy that you wear.
Yeah, it is. It really is, because I've had many people when I've had these earrings on. What do your earrings say? Do they say something? And so then absolutely I get to tell them a little bit. And now I get to be more passionate about what I'm saying, because I'm kind of, on the insides a little bit more, and I will be able to share even more. But before I was like, well, yeah, this helped survivors. And so, yeah, it was a nice little way to advocate without having to be the one going into the trenches. I mean, I just keep thinking about the movie The Sound of Freedom, and I know there was a second one similar to it, and I can't think of the name of that one, but there's absolutely what you said before. You have to be specially trained to do that sort of thing, and it takes a long time to develop the team and get the knowledge of where this is happening, and to be able to go in. And sometimes my understanding is, there's one person rescued and it took months to get that all developed. And sometimes there's, a couple dozen or maybe 100 or more or something. And, so it is a very large endeavor, and all of that takes funding as well. And that's important funding to get the people out. But then I love what these organizations and what Made for Freedom and the foundation are doing, because, okay, they've come out of it, they've been rescued out of it, or they've managed to get out of it somehow, but then what? How do they not end up right back in it? And providing them that education, providing them employment, and letting them know you are valued, and your value is not connected to what you just came out of.
Right.
You have such greater value than that.
Could you pop up the Made for Freedom homepage again? Like up at the very top, one of my favorite pieces, and it ties in beautifully with what you were just talking about. But that rescue, we so often hear about the raids, and going in and grabbing the girls. And sometimes that is what has to be done. And yes, you need to be trained so that you're not creating even more trauma for this poor young lady. But I would say the very best way this happens is where the
Where am I going?
products go up to the top.
Okay.
There are 4 products across, and one of them is the Committed Heart necklace. And that one, so groups, and I've mentioned a couple times outreach. So the women, once they have come into the centers and they feel valued and they are at a better place, they do outreach. And that is going into the streets, going and talking to the girls that are working, going and building relationships, getting to know brothel owners, getting to know the people, the brothel owners, the girls. That necklace, and it's the heart right there. So yeah, just scroll up a little bit. The heart, like the gold and black necklace. If you look at that necklace, that the inside heart from that necklace is cut out, made into another necklace. Those necklaces are given to outreach teams, and they take them into those red light districts, and they build relationships with girls that are being sold or selling themselves, and they give them that necklace and they say, we don't want anything from you, but we want you to have this, and we want you to know that you are valuable, and there are people wearing the other part of this necklace, and they are standing for your freedom.
Wow. That's incredible. And so this is one of those ways where, if they can't afford the wear one, share one levels, and they want a beautiful piece of jewelry and they want to donate, this is $46.59. That is incredibly reasonable for good jewelry. And it's not just jewelry. It's a lifeline.
Right.
To
right.
some, this is, like you said, advocacy that you can wear. This has a purpose. You can not only feel good while you're wearing it because you look nice in it, but you can also feel good because it's going to help someone in a way that is more than just a job.
Right.
Whatever jewelry you buy, whatever clothing you buy, that goes back to somebody who has a job. But when you purchase anything through the Made for Freedom company, you're providing so much more. You're providing hope. You're providing, like I said, a lifeline. You get to be an advocate. The fact that we have so many people involved in this means that we need more people talking about it. We need more awareness about it. We need more support to keep people from getting into it, but also what to do and how to help them when they are able to get out of it. And this, I just keep looking at I've still got the necklace pulled up on my other screen. I just keep looking at that, and I'm just thinking that is such an incredible and meaningful and beautiful way, and pretty easy way. Most women have a piece of jewelry, at least the women that I know, and some of the women that I know have a practical whole closet full of jewelry. So
they could start their own boutique. Yeah.
Right. My mom's not watching, but I might be thinking about her. So I do. I wanted to let people know too that on the foundation website. So again, that is Made for Freedom Foundation.org. And on that website, there is a little video. Now, I'm not going to play it here. And the reason is because YouTube pings me if I play audio that is on some other website. And I don't have the permissions to do that or whatever. But it's just a couple minutes long. And go in and listen to this young girl, and you can see for yourself that she is so grateful and so thankful. And again, you know then that the purchase that you make or the donation that you give is helping not only her, but eventually thousands. I mean, you already said, there's 11,000 prostitutes in the one area, and I can't remember which area you said in
Right.
the red light district. And, hopefully someday between our organization and others, we can get all 11,000 out
Mm.
and get them on a life that they can feel good about
Right.
and that they have control over. Because that's the other piece of this that I don't think people really grasp or put as much understanding into it, is that these people do not have control over their lives. There
Mhm.
is someone at some level holding papers for them so that they can't go to the police, or they can't go to somebody and say, hey, I don't belong in this country,
Mhm.
but I don't have any papers to make it legal. Someone else is holding those papers.
Or just the threat. I know where your family is. I
Yes.
mean, that alone
Yes.
is enough of a deterrent for a lot of people. Like, I know where your family is. You do, and you step out of line, I'll go kill them all. Like,
Right.
that's going to hold a lot of people into a situation that they do not want to be in, just because they are trying to protect the people they love.
Absolutely. And I want to touch on that briefly. We only have about 8 minutes left in our time together. And I know we've talked a lot, and I absolutely wanted to talk about all the different ways that people can support the Made for Freedom Foundation and the Made for Freedom Company. But I do want to just talk very serious. And I mean, the whole conversation has been pretty serious, but I really, I just feel like people are going to watch this and be like, that doesn't happen where I live.
Mm.
Can you speak to that for just a couple of minutes?
Oh gosh, yeah. Uh, it's and when I put together the little training, 5 key components of exploitation, I very specifically chose the word exploitation because when I started Made for Freedom, I had friends coming from all walks of life saying, "Oh, when I was in college, this was the situation and I was raped." And or, "Oh, when I was here, this is how I was taken advantage of." Or a young lady who was trafficked, and, her family just was pretty nonchalant and didn't care a whole lot. And the guy at the mall, who she was just at the mall with her friends, and he was looking at her and he was handsome and he started showing her attention, and she desperately needed attention, and she ended up being trafficked for the next 5 years of her life. This is not we are in a period of time right now where we are seeing and hearing a lot of testimonies from Epstein survivors. That is not typical. It is not typical that someone who has been through this abuse, has been through this trauma, gets a spotlight like that where they can and many people don't want that. They don't want to be identified as, I went through this horrible thing. Who wants to be known for the worst situation they've ever been through? So you've got to remember, women that have been through this, people who have been through this, are not necessarily the ones that are going, "Oh, let me tell you my story." They might just want to get on with life. They're never going to be the same. They're always going to have that trauma. They're always going to have those things that they have to deal with. But they don't necessarily want the spotlight. They don't want to walk around saying, "Oh, I was trafficked when I was, whatever." There are plenty that are, and the survivors and advocates, the survivor advocates, they're amazing, and they are so incredibly brave and so incredibly strong. but it is happening. I mean, if you don't think it's happening in your city, if you don't think it's happening in your area, just go to the internet, type in your city, type in human trafficking, and you will probably be appalled and astonished. And, I had a board member one time, I asked them to watch a documentary, and it was about 3 girls that were trafficked. And we got back together and I said, "Okay, did you guys watch that?" And she said, "Dawn, I was so mad, I stopped it." So,
Uh-huh.
like this is infuriating. It's heart-wrenching, but it is happening. It is real. And it's not I gave a talk recently, and what I said was the way I led into it was the things that break our hearts aren't necessarily interruptions in life. It might be an invitation to to step into it and make a difference.
Yes. And it's such a beautiful way to put that. And I do need to, before we get off of here today, is I know that we have really focused on the females and the
Mhm,
young girls,
mhm,
but trafficking in persons happens to anybody,
mhm,
any age,
mhm.
infants, all
Yeah,
the way to people in their 80s and 90s. It
mhm,
doesn't matter if you are rich or poor, if what your cultural background is, what what age you are, what part of the world you live in. Yes, there are some areas where it is more prevalent, but it is happening everywhere, and it's not just the what we see in the movies. Like, we've taken you from your family and we're going thousands of miles away. It's happening, like you said, like it was happening to this girl, and it was her family that was doing it to her.
mhm.
And I think we need to open our eyes and get angry
Right.
and do something with that anger. And that's why I'm so thankful that I met you, because I can do something with my anger and my sadness and my desire to help in some way. And finding the organization and being able to purchase items, knowing that it was all going to a good cause, and then now being on the foundation. I'm just I'm very grateful to you and to God for you doing this, and to your husband for supporting you. And 6 months into a marriage, that's a big thing to drop on somebody.
I was gone for like 3 weeks, and people were like, "What?" I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I got invited."
exactly. You couldn't turn it down. I completely understand. Well, I would like, you've just got about a minute and a half. And so, if there's anything else, and I wish I could have ended with what you were saying about the, being life's interruption, instead it's a
Mm,
call. But I just felt like we had to make sure that people understood that it's not just girls and
right,
it's not
right.
just over there. So, do you have any final parting words, words of encouragement? I've been showing the website. It is Made for Freedom Foundation.org or madeforfreedom.com. And so make sure that you go to one or both of those places. All right, Dawn, I'll be quiet. It's your turn now.
Okay, so I'll do a shameless little plug on our most recent T-shirt, which I really wanted us to have this in time for, let me do it again, World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, 2 days from now, but also even
Right.
more so for January. But our newest shirt is a black shirt, and in blue, of course, it says, "Silence is not an option." So I
Mm,
just, between that and some of the pieces that we have that say, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, speak up for those who are marginalized. And I don't remember the rest of the verse, but this is a verse from Proverbs. But speak up. Silence is not an option. We need to step up. We need to say something and we need to do what we can. Oh, look, and there's a really pretty blue shirt and it says brave. I am brave. And that is based on the story of a young lady from Myanmar who escaped her trafficker. And she exhibited such incredible bravery. They came up with that design. Well, they came up with a beautiful earring. Oh, I'm wearing it. If you look at Brave on our earring on our website, you'll see beautiful earrings. And I was like, you know what? We deal with brave women all over the world. And so in 8 languages, English, Hindi, Thai, Cambodian, 8 languages, it says, I am brave.
That's
Anyway.
amazing. I love the bow ties. I love the
Aren't those fun? They're reversible. Those are made by the refugees and immigrants in St. Louis. So working with marginalized, like I said, to prevent exploitation, working with survivors. So on one page of a Made for Freedom products, you're going to see products made by survivors of sex trafficking, marginalized peoples because of their beliefs, marginalized people because of politics, because of man-made catastrophes, because of natural catastrophes, but preventing exploitation and providing restoration for those who have come out of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me. This is lovely. You know, next time we'll have to meet over coffee.
There we go. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. And I'm going to apologize. I know Facebook is not running this right now. So anybody who catches this on the YouTube, I'm so sorry that it was not on Facebook. I don't know what happened, but I apologize for that misunderstanding. But thank you, everyone who joined in today and who's going to watch this in the replay and share it. Please, please share this. It is so important to get this information out. There's so much work to be done, and this is a small way that you can help in that work. Help somebody know who they are today, but not know who they will be tomorrow. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.